Hello there.
Hello, hello. How you doing?
I'm just good. And yourself?
Yeah, not too bad.
Did you have some vacations
So
or?
yeah, actually did a little bit of vacation, which was nice. Yeah, I ended up so yeah, thank you for the early morning review. I'm taking a look at your comments and I see all the points that you've made. So I believe I've addressed them. So yeah, like I said, I think I got most of the unresolved comments uh finished, but I
Mhm.
didn't know whether or not you wanted me to resolve them, so I started resolving them uh based off now. But what I so I'm going to throw out a suggestion,
Mhm.
because I think it's really difficult to, because there's so many comments on this, so it's hard to like know when something's like resolved,
Yeah.
and people might forget as well. So what I can do, since I'm addressing the feedback, is I could say, "Hey, I'm resolving this," and I could
Mhm.
click. If it's still not resolved, please unresolve it. So that's what I'm kind of doing. That's what I did with the last one. I said, "I'm resolving this." So if you look at that comment and it still looks unresolved, just go ahead and unresolve it. I feel like that's easier than trying to have everyone go back and herd cats, if you will.
I would guess so too, because then if you type a comment there that it is resolved, I will get a mail about that
Yes.
comment. So,
Yep.
and then I will see it. Because if you just resolve it without any comment, I don't think I will
No,
see that.
you don't see it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really,
But
really just.
I think it's good that you post a comment on it. But as you say, it's probably take some time if everyone that posts comments will need to resolve them themselves because they might not be available to do it at all.
Yeah, exactly. So,
So if you consider
um,
them resolved, I think you could actually do that.
okay, cool. Works for me.
Yeah, but I will look at them anyway, of course.
Okay, cool.
Hi, Brett. Welcome. So I'm not sure if we are expecting anyone else. Let me start by sharing the notes. I archived the notes from last year. So now the page is very short. Document is short. So I can share my screen also, by the way. So Andrea is not joining today. He doesn't feel well, I heard. So he will not be joining us. But we are good to go anyway. Let's see. There we have it. Okay, so please add your names in the notes. Um, we don't have any new attendees yet in this meeting, at least. So we'll start off with the action items. Uh, I noticed this one, Ben, from earlier, that you were to prepare a demo on the maintainability. I'm not sure if that's something that we should keep looking at every week here.
No. Don't keep it every week. I've been focusing more on the links proposal just to kind of get that done, for the CD events related things. But like I said, I'll have a demo, but I'd rather just say when I have it. Like I'm like,
Yeah,
hey, if we have time, let's, I can do the demo this week or next week. So I think that's better.
so I removed from the action list.
Okay, works
Uh,
for me. And I do have an it's already see it on line 68 on about the ticket proposal. So whenever we get down to that section.
yep, yep. Well, uh, oops. Let's see. Is there a shortcut for this? Strike through thing. I don't know. Owen is not here. Then Andrea had a couple of items on himself. Uh, I don't think any of these are actually done, so we go forward with those. Yeah, then we have the ticket to approvals proposal.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So me and Sean, so we had our final, I'm going to say kind of our final like reoccurring meeting,
Mhm.
because I feel like the proposal is like in a good enough state to where he could submit it as a draft. The reason why I say draft is because I want to do a quick review on it before it like actually, because like since me and him have synced on it, I want to kind of give my first initial review on it because he's been mostly driving it with me, kind of like pointing out some issues or and some suggestions here and there. So that's kind of the idea, is that he's going to submit a PR, which we finalized him submitting that. I think it was on Thursday, and he said within the next few days. So sometime this week, expect the ticket proposal to be opened. So that's kind of the idea
Mhm.
there. So yep, so that's going to be sometime this week, and looking forward to seeing at least the draft PR up, and then kind of going from there.
Sounds good. So it will come.
Mm-hmm.
So now, Brett, since you're here as well, do we have any updates on the CDEvents workshop stuff?
No. Um, I just sobered up last week, so um, I've been on vacation since December
Yeah,
19th.
I thought about that. For
So
sure.
yeah, I've been out, out of the loop, but we've been working on EPR pretty hard. And then we've made some changes, of course, that busted all the documentation. We made a couple of things plural that weren't
Mhm.
plural before, and I got to go fix all the doc. So um, it would definitely be how do I put it? I'm gonna try and have it done before the end of the month, which was the plan last month, but I realized that we weren't in a good spot yet to do it. But now I think we're in a better spot. There's a whole bunch of work going on it. There's also like some query refactoring. We arguing back and forth about using Gorm versus writing, raw SQL. Um,
Mhm.
So that one's been going on, and we're trying not to tie ourselves to Postgres, even though I don't care if we tie ourselves to Postgres, we're still trying not to. So yeah, there's some stuff that's going on that's taking up parts of my time, but the real problem, of course, is work, like real work. So,
Yeah,
but
sure.
I plan to get back to it. Let's see what so the SBOM PR and the artifact PR, do those need anything that like we can help with? Like, because I've got a couple of guys on my side that are willing to
Oh, that
participate.
would be great, I think. So Andrea has them on his table, I think, but there is no problem if you would like to help out, I guess. Just let's go ahead and and do whatever's needed. I'm not sure exactly what the state is. Yeah, the artifacts PR. Hmm. We discussed this a bit if it should be changing terminology or something like that, but I'm not really up to date to this myself, and as yourself as well. I've also been on holidays. I haven't really thought about this for some weeks, so I can't really recall
Yeah, I
what's.
was supposed to the first week of vacation. I first 2 days I did a bunch of work, wrote a bunch of code, and I was like feeling really cool. And then I had a bunch of family stuff come up, and then I was like, yeah, I don't feel like working anymore.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
even on stuff that I enjoy, right? I was like, I'm done.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
So we had a whole talk about the some of the terminology in the SBOM one about using dashes versus using camel case versus.
Yeah. Yeah. We did. Yeah.
So
And we
uh,
did have some action actually on. Wasn't that mentioned as well here? To yeah, but capitalizing URI. But that was when we talked about that. We also talked about other things in the spec, name
yeah,
terminology standards. Yeah. So yeah, but I think this SBOM URI thing is quite near to be done. I had one comment here that I expected Andrea to solve just, and otherwise I think this is more or less good as is. So at least you can look into it and see if you agree with the current proposal there.
yeah. I think the only problem I had was the SBOM dash URI.
Ah, yeah, yeah, but yeah, and that's exactly what I had a comment on as well. Yeah. So this will be updated. It will be an object instead here. The SBOM will be an object with the URI in it as a sub property. So it will be this an object instead. And then there's no discussion, I guess, on capitalizing things.
Right.
This is how we've done it before.
Yeah, the final decision was, or not final decision, the outcome was is that we had used the Java style format before in the spec, and there was no point to go whack it everywhere and break it until a V2 or a V3 or whatever. So
right.
yeah, so I would expect that to become, I'll go reply with what I expect it to become, and hopefully Andre starts to feel better.
Yeah, I hope that we will be back in any day. So I guess this was his first day also after holidays, so I hope that his illness is not something that will stay for long.
Yeah, like that new strain of COVID or something. Hopefully he dodged that.
Yeah. I think he might do it this week, even if he's back. Right.
Yeah, and then I guess it's not nice to hijack people's PRs, right? So,
but at least you can comment on it and say you agree, and then he will be notified that more people are interested, and I guess he might push for it. Okay, so Ben, you're adding more things. That's good. I was out of topics myself, so that's good that you have something.
Cool. Yeah.
So go on. Yeah.
Yeah. So for this one, so there's build started and build finished, but finished doesn't have an outcome. So it doesn't say whether or not the build failed, whether build succeeded. And I noticed in the actual spec for the build, it does say that the outcome will eventually be added. So I don't know if that just was never done, or what. So if you go up a little bit, yes, it says this event will eventually contain the finished status, success, error, or failure. But that never got added, I don't think. But this is actually something we need sooner rather than later. We're trying to make CDEvents usable, and this is a pretty important piece of the build information, is knowing whether or not it succeeded or failed. So
I agree.
yeah. So I was wondering, like, if that was missed, or if there was just some time waiting for it, or what the idea was for that. I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, I think it was missed, or just not yet done, as stated. So I think it could be quite similar. I mean, a build to me is very similar to, it's just a specialized task, really.
Yeah.
So I think the syntax of that outcome could be the same as we have for task run finished, and I guess we have a pipeline finished the same as well. So the same enum, I guess.
Yeah. I was gonna create a PR, but I wasn't sure if there was any. So I wanted to get some more context, and if there isn't any, I can do a quick PR to get that added to the. Okay, perfect.
That's great. So we can state that here. Let's paste the reference here. So you might do a PR for it then.
Yeah. I'll do a PR after this meeting, because it's pretty straightforward.
Cool. Then about SDK.
Yeah. So the Java SDK has I created four issues. Well, technically it's five, but one can be kind of grouped up into one issue itself. So basically the subject classes are different for each like build event. We're doing a lot with builds right now because we're trying to integrate it into one of our build systems. And we're trying to pass around the subject, but it's a different class for each event. So it makes it very difficult to like, we have to make a separate method or a separate thing to kind of pass this subject field around. And it's the same for context as well, which all these fields are very, very similar to one another, with maybe the content being different. So I think we can do a better job of generating these classes, especially the context one. Like that should seriously just be a single class, and then maybe each build event or each event in itself could have its own class, but it just inherits from that base context, right?
I guess the issue there is that we don't have a common context JSON specification. I mean, the context JSON is spread all over events, right? We don't have a common.
Which that is fine, right? Like that is fine. But when you're doing generation knows more about what it should look like for Java, right? Like what this is basically doing is it's just taking the raw JSON schema definitions and just converting it to JSON or Java models, right? Which in terms of usability is not good, right? But as we see, but what we can do is we can say, hey, we know as users that that this context is actually the same across all of these events. We can do a little bit of better design around that, right? So we don't actually need a core schema for that. We just need to update the generators to be a little bit more smart, if you will.
Yeah, I guess we're home free, since there is the specification of the context properties are actually in the core part of the spec, right?
It's
so
true,
documentation wise, it's there.
Yes.
But from a schema perspective, it's spread all over, which is a pity, I would say. I think it should be centralized as well, actually.
Agreed. Yeah.
Event, but that's secondary. Yes, because theoretically there could be differences between those schemas.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Yeah, that's why the build event, like the build event class, would have its own context class, but it inherits from the core context, right? So you can just pass that thing around, and if there is any differences, it would just be on the build context, like finished, right? So I'm just saying that it could be done a little bit better to where so that's kind of the first issue. This is, that just makes it a lot more difficult to use. But then this next one is that required fields aren't validated at all. So like there's like no constructors, there's no builders. So you can construct these subjects and whatnot with missing required fields, and it says required right there, but you can set them as totally being null and just send them off their way. And that just seems like a really bad, just really bad from an SDK point of view.
Sounds reasonable, to me.
Yeah.
Good improvement.
Yep. And then, so one thing is just that there's just setters everywhere. I'm a big proponent of immutability. If you're going to have a new event, or you shouldn't be reusing an old event for a new event, let's just save this one event and then just use a setter to reuse a single one, because that could be introduce a world hurt. So my proposal is just that we would just make them immutable, and if you need to change anything, you just create a whole new object. And then there's this project Lombok that makes that very, very easy, and kind of like hides all that code from where we'd have to manually write it. So So yeah, a lot of benefits there.
Mhm.
Another one's immutability, also saves from like race conditions and all that jazz. So yeah. So this is another one. Two-string and hash code aren't generated. Longbot can also do this for this. Easy for us. Because the SDK today doesn't have hash code or two strings. So two string one, you get like just the pointer when you print the event, which is not useful when you're trying to look at something. And
Mhm.
then when you're doing a comparison equal wise, since it doesn't have a hash code generation, the equal comparison needs to be manually done. Like you have to compare like each field and whatnot, which becomes very, very it's not pretty. So it makes it hard to use, right?
Okay.
So this is another improvement that can be done where it make end users not have to worry about comparing each individual field and so on, right?
Yeah.
So these are the
Mhm.
kind of the blockers for us right now. But
Of course.
and
I think up until now, it has been mostly Jalander who has been creating things in the Java SDK, and I think Andrea has reviewed most of it.
okay,
But it would be
okay.
great to have more people involved there.
Yeah, yeah. So
I
I
hesitate
can't,
to provide pull
yeah,
requests there as well.
yeah. Unfortunately, I can't touch code just yet. Still in the legal process
Ah, right, right, right.
of,
Yeah.
so that's why. I mean, I would love to, believe me, I would
I
love to.
see.
Yeah, but unfortunately, still blocked on that. But
I see.
it's
Yeah.
coming soon. Yeah.
But maybe we should actually ping Jalander then, since he has been the one writing the most pull
Yeah,
requests
yeah.
so far.
I can ping him, or I
If you,
can't even. What sucks is I can't even peer code review with people as well. Because I'd opt to peer with him, but
Mhm.
yeah, I can ping him, but I can review the code. So that is at least something I can do is review.
Yeah,
But yeah, but I'll ping him. I'll ping him with those issues, and we
please do
can
that.
we can
Because to
we can
me,
move
they
forward.
look perfect. I mean, it's so long since I coded Java, but it looks good anyway to me.
Yes,
I
yes.
haven't used this Lombok before, but I guess that's fine as well.
Yep, yep.
So yeah, that's reasonable to me.
All right. Yep.
Great. Uh, and I didn't really find anything else to bring in today to the meeting. It's a bit of a startup this day for me, so I'm not really up to speed on everything.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little same here. So not too much from my end other than these few items, but yeah.
And I haven't heard any like gossip from anyone else either. That's really interesting for this group. I actually looked into the OpenTelemetry discussion. There is this meeting going on for the new tag, or sorry, the new SIG, I guess it's called in OpenTelemetry about CI/CD observability. Uh, but I don't think anything has really happened there over the holidays either. So there's nothing new to mention from that.
Oh, there was one thing that came out of so I had a meeting with Jalander
Hmm.
about this was before the holidays. So this was like maybe a couple weeks, like first week of December or maybe second week. But we had a meeting about this like web hook service that would take like GitHub, GitLab, Garrett, so on and
Yeah,
convert those into
interaction. So
yeah
the
into
GitHub interaction.
CDEvents. So I
Mhm.
had the initial meeting with him. I told Jalander he kind of he jumped in the gun a little too quick. Because he just started writing code. I was like, we need to be a little, he did write like a very basic design, but I told him, we need to probably think about this a little bit more deeply. Um, so he submitted a PR though because I told him I have a lot of experience with Go. And I could tell that he's kind of new to Go, and so I told him, like I said, I can't contribute code, but if you put it in a PR, I can review it. I just haven't had any time to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he did have a PR. There's some ideas that I think we can do to kind of make it a little bit more flexible in terms of like having all these different types of source control or version control management systems to make that easier. But yeah, so like I said, but I want him to kind of come at it from more of a proposal and a design first. So I'm gonna probably have him, I'm gonna review the code, but then have him kind of go back a little bit and do the design more thoroughly, because he kind of like just went at it from a Garrett point of view, which is fine, because that's what his initial intention was. But now that we're kind of moving to a more flexible system where it should work with or have a plug-in system which should work with any for instance, like GitHub Action or Garrett or GitLab, it needs to be a little bit more flexible. So we're gonna have a more of a design overhaul or design meeting or proposal on that. So yeah.
But it's in the same scope as this GitHub Actions repo that exists there. Or is this something else? I can't really distinguish it now.
I don't know. I think it's something different.
How
So
does
yeah,
it differ?
because
Or
it's
doesn't at all?
yeah. Jalander has a separate private repo that he shared me on.
Okay.
I don't even know if it should be private, but it is. But
Mhm.
yeah, and then we could always make it a what you call it, a repo in CDEvents, but I told him to hold off because I want him to at least get the proposal first. But the problem is that proposal, I don't know where it would live, because spec would not probably be the most appropriate. It's more of like a tooling, right? So it's like, where do we want those proposals to live? Like CDEvents, just like tooling proposal or just proposals, I
I
guess.
think it can be in community. If you have nothing, no better place to put it, it can be in community because
Okay.
that's the overall community repo.
All
Uh,
right.
unless we have a, let me see if we had something else.
I don't remember seeing anything. I
No,
saw
no, we don't have
community.
anything else. No,
Yeah.
so use the community for now. Maybe
Okay.
we can create like a POC or beta or something later on, but I guess community is the best we have today.
Okay.
But also
Cool.
reflect on how it would compare to this repo. Because it seems to me like it's something similar, right?
It is, but it's a little bit different in that it's going to be a webhook service. So it's basically you just
Yeah.
send it. Yeah, you just send it some arbitrary data. So this is basically doing what Jalander was doing with Garrett. But I told him, rather than having like all these different types of tooling, let's just have a single like source control tool that people can pull down, and it would just be a webhook service, and it would just run. So instead of like using GitHub Actions to
Mhm.
send these, you would use the GitHub webhook service. So if you go to
Webhook,
like
yeah.
go to the settings, you have like a webhook service URL that you can put, and then it would just send all the events there.
Right. Great. So
It's kind of very similar to like open telemetry. Like it has a collector, and then the collector has all these protocols that it supports, and you just
mhm.
like plug in which ones you want to use. So it's kind of very like that. That's kind of the vision that I'm seeing, is how this is going to work.
Right.
So yeah, it's very early. Like I said, I still need to review Jolander's code. But I think I'm going to have him start working on the proposal side of it, like the design side of it, and then then start writing the code a little bit later. Yeah, so that's kind of the idea.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, cool.
Great. Yeah, thanks for that. Anything else on your mind, Brett?
No, I mean, the immutable stuff that we were talking about with the Java code, that's how we did EPR. Events are immutable. You can't mess with them. Once you've made it, that's it.
Of course.
And then the way we group the events together with the event receivers, those are immutable. You can't break them because they have to last as long as the events. So the only thing that's mutable is the event group receivers group, where you've taken like 3, to use a different term, gates, and group them together. You can enable or disable the messages from that. And that's the only thing that we have that's like mutable. Everything else is immutable. And we've been running we've been running that similar system in production for 4 years now, and it's fine. It's the best way to do it.
Very good.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't have anything else. If you want help with that Go SDK, Ben, or whatever you're working on with the other guy, whenever it gets to a point where you need some eyeballs on the Go code, let us know, because Andrew's not here, but he'll gladly put his eyes on it. I'll put my eyes on it.
Cool. Yeah, I think we're still really far. Like I know, we're all engineers. We really want to jump on code, but especially when it's a new like idea. But I think we're still a little bit out before we submit the code, at least to be reviewed in the CDEvents repo. But when that does happen, yeah, the more eyes on it, the better.
Like I said, just let me know.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I'll definitely keep you guys in mind then.
Great. And I will continue reviewing the
Lost you guys.
The link PR there.
Okay,
as well.
awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Try to finish it. Probably not today, but
yeah, it is very long. Like when I was looking at the proposal itself, I'm like, dude, this proposal is like so long. Like the links proposal itself, and then you have all the schemas, and then I'll just the spec. Yeah, it's pretty monstrous. So yeah,
I'm
please.
myself to blame for all the comments I made. So
no worries. Yeah, no worries. But yeah, like I said, it's been quite the journey with the links proposal. So it seems like we're starting to kind of get to the end here. So take as much time as you need to kind of review. I'd rather you review it as long as you need, as opposed to rushing and then we miss something that's pretty crucial. So yeah, please take your time.
I think it has been some time since Andrea reviewed it as well, and I would like him to also take a final look at it before we approve it.
Definitely. Okay, awesome. Sounds good.
Yeah. So I guess that's all for today then, unless anyone else has any final items to bring up.
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. That gives me some time to review the code then.
All right, awesome. All right, you guys all have a good one.
Yeah. Cool. Talk to you guys later. See you next week.
All right, see you next week. All right, bye.